A high value woman doesn't entertain disrespect, ever. She's not in the business of justifying bad behavior or pretending it didn't happen to keep the peace. When someone crosses a line, she doesn't brush it under the rug. She addresses it directly, calmly, and without fear. And if that person doesn't correct it or take accountability, she's gone. No yelling, no dramatic exits, just a quiet decision backed by strong self-respect. She knows that tolerating even the smallest act of disrespect sends a message that she's willing to settle, and she's not. She's not in competition for anyone's love or attention. If a man wants access to her world, he has to come correct. Because she's not desperate for love. She's selective about energy. She doesn't teach people how to treat her by begging for respect. She teaches them by walking away when it's not given. That boundary is what earns her the highest level of respect. Not because she demands it, but because she commands it. Through action, through silence, through standards that don't bend just because someone is attractive or charming. A high value woman guards her time like it's sacred, because it is. She doesn't drop everything just because a man suddenly decided to text her or make last minute plans. She knows that her time is her most valuable asset, and she treats it that way. If a man wants to be part of her life, he needs to plan accordingly, because she's not waiting around for scraps of attention. She's building, growing, evolving, and that requires focus, energy, and clarity. She doesn't reward inconsistency with availability. If someone's effort is half-hearted, they won't get front row access to her world. She doesn't rush to reply just to seem nice or agreeable. She's not playing hard to get. She is hard to get because she knows what she brings to the table. When a woman values her time, it teaches others to value it too. It shows that she's not just a side option or a backup plan. She's the kind of woman you make time for on purpose with intention. A high value woman doesn't chase, and she definitely doesn't beg. She understands that love, respect, and effort are never things you force. They flow when they're real. If a man isn't showing up, she's not chasing behind him trying to prove her worth. She already knows her worth. She's not auditioning for anyone's approval. If someone is inconsistent, unavailable, or playing games, she simply removes herself. Not out of pride, but out of self-respect. She knows that the right energy won't need to be chased. It will meet her half. She's not in the business of convincing anyone to choose her. If he's unsure, she's unavailable. If he's not consistent, she's uninterested. She's not in love with potential. She's aligned with reality. And reality says when someone wants you in their life, their actions make it obvious. She doesn't beg for effort. She requires it. She doesn't double text. She doesn't over-explain. She doesn't compete. She lets go. And in doing so, she keeps her power. A high-value woman doesn't operate on expectations. She lives by her standards. And there's a big difference. Expectations are silent hopes. Standards are clear boundaries. She doesn't assume people will treat her well just because she treats them well. She sets the tone from the start. She communicates what she allows, what she won't tolerate, and what she requires, and then she backs it up with action. These standards aren't about being rigid or controlling. They're about protecting her energy and attracting what's aligned. She's not afraid to say, this doesn't work for me, and walk away if her standards aren't met. She doesn't lower them to keep someone around. She doesn't water herself down to be more palatable. She knows that anyone who truly values her will meet her where she stands, not ask her to shrink. She's not difficult, she's just clear. And in that clarity, she gains respect. Because men respect what's not easily accessible. They respect what's defined. And she defines herself through every boundary she refuses to break. A high-value woman doesn't entertain emotional unavailability, not for a second. She's not interested in men who show up halfway, who give mixed signals, or who treat vulnerability like a weakness. She's done with the guessing games, the I'm not ready speeches, and the hot and cold behavior that leaves her questioning her worth. She requires presence. She requires emotional maturity. She requires depth because she's done the work to connect with herself, and she expects that same level of self-awareness from the man standing across from her. She's not afraid to ask the real questions. She wants truth, not just chemistry. Clarity, not confusion. She doesn't get attached to potential or fall for charm without substance. If a man isn't emotionally available, she doesn't try to fix him. She simply steps away, gracefully but firmly. She knows that love without emotional connection is just performance. And she's not in the audience. She's looking for partnership, not projects. So if someone can't meet her in emotional truth, they don't get to meet her at all. A high-value woman doesn't fall for sweet talk. She watches behavior. Consistency is her love language. She's not impressed by grand promises made in the heat of the moment. Words don't move her unless they're backed by action, and action over time. She's heard it all before. The future plans, the I miss you, the I've never felt this way before. She knows that none of it means anything if it's not matched with effort, real effort, showing up when it's inconvenient, choosing her even when it's not easy, prioritizing her when life gets busy. That's what earns her attention and trust, because consistency shows character, and character is what she builds with. A man can't just speak love, he has to live it. She doesn't reward temporary effort with permanent access. If the energy shifts, so does her presence. If she can't rely on him, she won't stay. She's not looking for perfect, she's looking for steady. Because in her world, loyalty is proven in patterns, not just passion. A high-value woman isn't afraid to walk away because she knows staying somewhere that doesn't honor her is the real loss. She doesn't threaten to leave to get attention. She actually leaves when her boundaries are crossed, quietly, completely, and without regret. She doesn't cling to situations out of fear of being alone. She understands that solitude is a sanctuary, not a punishment. She would rather start over than shrink herself to stay. Walking away is her final boundary, her loudest statement, her deepest form of self-respect. When a man knows she's willing to let go, he understands that access to her isn't permanent. It's earned through consistency, care, and character. She doesn't wait for closure or change that never comes. She makes her own peace and moves forward because she knows that being unavailable to the wrong energy is what makes space for the right one. Her walk-away game is strong, not because she's cold, but because she's healed. And that kind of strength demands respect without ever having to ask for it. So, understand this. Respect isn't something a high-value woman begs for. It's something she embodies through her boundaries, through her choices, through her unwavering commitment to herself. She doesn't have to raise her voice to be heard or prove her worth to be seen. Her energy says it all. She doesn't control others. She controls access. And that's what makes her powerful. That's what earns her respect. Not just from men, but from everyone who crosses her path. Because when a woman knows who she is, what she deserves, and what she'll never tolerate, the world has no choice but to rise and meet her there. High-value women prioritize their independence and autonomy in every aspect of their lives. They understand that true empowerment comes from within. and that they are responsible for creating a life that aligns with their values and aspirations. They don't rely on others for their sense of self-worth or happiness. Instead, they cultivate their own passions, set personal goals, and work diligently toward achieving them. Their self-sufficiency extends beyond financial independence. It also includes emotional autonomy, mental strength, and the ability to thrive in solitude when necessary. By remaining true to themselves and their goals, high-value women send a clear message to others that they are not looking for someone to complete them. They are already complete. This independence allows them to enter relationships from a place of strength, knowing that they are whole and content on their own. They choose partners, friends, and colleagues who enhance their lives, not ones who define them or fulfill a void. This mindset fosters healthy, balanced relationships where both parties contribute equally and support each other's growth. Furthermore, high-value women use their independence as a form of boundary setting. They are not afraid to spend time alone, pursue their personal interests, or make decisions that align with their own well-being, even if it means standing apart from the crowd or going against societal expectations. They understand that their autonomy is essential to their peace of mind, and they won't sacrifice it for the sake of pleasing others or conforming to external pressures. This strength and self-sufficiency are what allow them to maintain their self-respect and demand the same respect from those they interact with. In every area of life, their independence is a reminder that they are in control of their own destiny and will not settle for anything less than what they deserve. High-value women set clear standards for how they expect to be treated, and they stand firm in these expectations. They understand that boundaries are not just about protecting themselves, but about establishing a foundation for healthy, respectful relationships. They do not settle for less than they deserve, whether in romantic partnerships, friendships, or professional interactions. Their standards are rooted in self-respect, and they recognize that by holding others to these standards, they are not only protecting their well-being, but also teaching others how to treat them. These women do not tolerate behavior that diminishes their sense of worth. They know what they value: honesty, integrity, kindness, loyalty, and respect, and they make it clear that these qualities are non-negotiable. If someone cannot meet these standards, they are willing to walk away without hesitation or guilt. This is not a sign of weakness, but of strength. By adhering to their standards, high-value women maintain control over the type of people they allow into their lives, ensuring that their relationships are nurturing and fulfilling. Moreover, their standards are not rigid. They are flexible, but rooted in the principle that mutual respect is the foundation of any meaningful connection. High-value women allow room for growth and understanding, but they do not compromise on their core values. They understand that while no one is perfect, there are certain behaviors that are unacceptable, and they will not tolerate mistreatment, dishonesty, or manipulation. By setting and maintaining their standards, high-value women inspire those around them to also recognize their own worth and set their own boundaries. They create an atmosphere where respect and equality thrive, knowing that their ability to uphold their standards is a reflection of the respect they have for themselves. This consistency and clarity in what they expect from others is what allows them to attract the type of people and relationships that align with their values, enriching their lives with connections that are truly reciprocal. High-value women are deeply protective of their time and energy, recognizing that both are limited resources that should be used wisely. They understand that every moment of their day is valuable, and they choose to invest their time and energy in things that align with their goals, passions, and well-being. These women do not allow others to waste their time or drain their emotional energy, and they are skilled at recognizing when they are being pulled into situations or relationships that are not worth their attention. They are mindful of where they direct their focus and do not give away their energy to people or things that do not serve their highest purpose. This protection of time and energy is not an act of selfishness, but an essential practice for maintaining balance and living authentically. High-value women know that in order to achieve their personal and professional goals, they must prioritize activities that contribute to their growth and happiness. They are careful about how they spend their time, ensuring that it is spent in ways that nourish their soul, further their ambitions, and contribute to their overall sense of fulfillment. Furthermore, they are not afraid to set boundaries around their time. If something or someone demands more than they can give, they are comfortable saying no without guilt. They know that overcommitting themselves leads to burnout, and that by overextending their energy, they risk compromising their health, relationships, and personal success. High-value women do not feel obligated to say yes to every request or invitation. Instead, they assess whether it aligns with their values and if it will contribute positively to their life. They also recognize that time and energy are interconnected. When they allow themselves to be drained emotionally, it affects their productivity, their mood, and their ability to focus on what truly matters. By guarding both their time and energy, high-value women create the space they need to thrive. They are selective about where they invest themselves, knowing that their emotional and mental well-being are precious and must be preserved in order for them to live a life that is fulfilling and aligned with their true self. High-value women understand that respect is a fundamental aspect of any healthy relationship, and they expect it to be mutual. They recognize that respect is not something that can be demanded. Rather, it is something that must be cultivated, demonstrated, and reciprocated in every interaction. These women treat others with the utmost respect, not because they expect something in return, but because they value people for who they are. However, they also make it clear that respect is non-negotiable. And they won't tolerate being disrespected, belittled, or taken for granted. This respect is not just about how others treat them, but also how they treat others. High-value women hold themselves to high standards in their interactions, always striving to listen, understand, and engage with empathy. They acknowledge that respect is earned through actions, not just words, and they demonstrate this in every relationship they form. They do not play games, manipulate, or engage in behavior that undermines trust. Instead, they build relationships on the foundation of honesty, integrity, and mutual consideration. By treating others with respect, high-value women create a positive atmosphere where respect becomes the norm. This sets the tone for how they expect to be treated in return. They recognize that they can't control others' actions, but they can control how they respond. When someone shows them respect, they reciprocate it wholeheartedly. When someone doesn't meet their standard of respect, they are not afraid to address the issue calmly and assertively, setting the boundary and making it clear what behavior is unacceptable. Through this practice, high-value women cultivate relationships that are grounded in equality and fairness. They understand that respect is not just about being polite or courteous. It's about valuing the other person as an equal, recognizing their humanity, and acknowledging their worth. In turn, they attract people who value the same principles and are willing to treat them with the same level of respect. It is through this mutual respect that high-value women build lasting, meaningful connections that enrich their lives and allow them to thrive. High-value women have a clear understanding of what love should look like in a healthy, balanced relationship. They know that love is not a one-sided endeavor, nor is it something to be chased or earned through sacrifice. Instead, they believe that love should be a reciprocal exchange of support, care, and respect. They set boundaries in their romantic relationships to ensure that their emotional well-being is protected and that the love they give is returned in equal measure. These women do not settle for relationships that are emotionally draining or unbalanced. They understand that love should enhance their lives, not deplete them. They expect their partners to meet them halfway, emotionally and mentally, and to contribute to the relationship in meaningful ways. High-value women are not afraid to walk away from a relationship that no longer aligns with their values or that doesn't respect their boundaries. They know that true love should make them feel valued, secure, and supported, not insecure, uncertain, or unloved. The boundaries high-value women set in love are based on self-respect and mutual understanding. They are clear about their emotional needs and communicate these needs to their partners. They also listen to the needs of their partners and engage in a healthy, open dialogue to create a space where both individuals feel heard and understood. They do not tolerate emotional manipulation, dishonesty, or behavior that diminishes their sense of self-worth. High-value women also understand that they are complete on their own. They do not enter relationships to fill a void, but to share their lives with someone who complements them. They are not desperate for love, but open to it, knowing that they are already whole. This perspective allows them to approach relationships from a place of strength and clarity rather than fear or insecurity. They understand that love should be a source of growth, not a source of dependency, and they set boundaries that protect their personal growth and happiness. In relationships, they seek a partnership where both individuals can grow and thrive together, supporting each other in their goals, dreams, and personal development. They know that love is not just about shared moments of happiness, but about building a solid foundation of trust, respect, and mutual care. By setting these boundaries, high-value women ensure that the love they give is a reflection of the love they receive, genuine, fulfilling, and unwavering. In the journey of life, high-value women understand that boundaries are not walls to keep people out, but rather the pillars that uphold their self-worth, respect, and emotional well-being. These boundaries are a reflection of their deep understanding of who they are and what they deserve. By setting clear standards, communicating their needs, protecting their time and energy, and embracing their independence, they create relationships and environments that are not only respectful, but also nourishing and empowering. They lead by example, demonstrating the importance of mutual respect, clear communication, and self-respect in all their interactions. Their boundaries are not barriers, but rather the foundation for meaningful, authentic connections that foster growth, trust, and love. High-value women show us that the true measure of respect is not found in how others treat us, but in how we choose to treat ourselves. By honoring our worth, protecting our space, and demanding the respect we deserve. By living in alignment with these values, they inspire everyone around them to rise to the occasion, creating a ripple effect of respect, love, and empowerment in all spheres of life.